From as far back as I can remember, music and the arts have played an essential role in my family life. When I was born, my dad was a singer and guitar player in a local punk band, and my mom was an accomplished pianist. I have very fond memories of sitting next to my mom on the piano bench and listening to her play for hours at a time, and then playing the bongos with my dad, trying to create new and interesting beats together. Because of these experiences as a young child, I grew up to love playing music and was willing to try any instrument that was thrown at me, beginning with the piano and then moving on to the violin, the flute, and finally the clarinet. When I started kindergarten, I attended a magnet school that emphasized the arts and the sciences. Throughout my 7 years there, I have very fond and vivid memories of the creative projects that we did, including paintings, sculptures, dances, and plays. However, I have few memories of our science curriculum until I entered the 5th grade. Up until then, science in the classroom was focused on plants and animals and things that children have encountered in their daily lives. As a young child, I was never able to develop an interest in the science that was being taught because it wasn't taught in a creative way. I was so interested in the arts that I couldn't see how science would be able to replicate that feeling for me. I never knew that science could be about building something. I was only introduced to science as something to memorize. Fortunately, this all changed in 5th grade when our teacher told us that over the next month we would be building a motor from scratch. When he said this, all of us just stared at him, some with looks of terror, others with looks of pure confusion. All of us were thinking that this seemed like a crazy idea, that it was an impossible task. How could 5th graders build a motor out of wood, magnets, copper wire, and batteries? How were we supposed to assemble this? We were so full of questions and immediately started bombarding our teacher, pressuring him for answers. Because this was his 35th year of teaching, he calmly took our questions one by one and answered them to the best of his ability, without giving away too much of the activity, which definitely added to the air of mystery surrounding it. Despite all of our hesitations, we got started that day. Our teacher broke this complicated process into numerous manageable steps that allowed us to excel and eventually create individual motors that worked. During this experience, I never felt like I would rather be painting, or playing music, or doing something else creative. All I wanted to do was finish my motor and learn the science behind how to make it function properly. I became so invested in this activity that I was bummed when we didn't have time that day to make any progress on it. My teacher taught me to love science in a way where I had no idea I was actually learning science. He showed me that science isn't all about memorization, but that it has real-life applications that can be turned into something amazing. Besides the science lessons behind this activity, it also taught me something that was much bigger than just the mechanics behind building a motor. Throughout this activity, I learned patience. I learned the importance of collaboration. I learned that it's okay to fail as long as you continue trying. And I learned that it is important to ask questions if you are confused. I was forced to reflect on my inability to work through challenges. And by the end of this experience, I realized that the only way to learn something new is by forcing yourself to keep trying. Once I left 5th grade, I took these lessons with me throughout my educational experiences. Looking back, I've come to realize what a valuable activity this was and how fortunate I was to have a teacher that trusted and believed in us enough to give us this opportunity. This has shown me the importance of authentic learning experiences for children and how they teach students not only about the curriculum, but also about real-life skills that they can use throughout their lives. I still have the motor I built sitting on my bookshelf in my room, and I would love to plan an activity that my own students will remember for years after.